All right, buckle up, everybody, because we are about to take a deep dive into a question that you might not expect.
That's right.
We're asking,
Mm.
can ancient Buddhist philosophy actually help you unlock that billionaire mindset?
Hmm.
You might be surprised by what we found.
Yeah, we're going to be looking at the 12 links of dependent origination.
Okay.
It's a core concept in Buddhism, and what we found is it maps surprisingly well onto this whole journey of wealth creation.
You know what? I have to admit, when I first heard this, I was like, what? How could this possibly be?
Right.
But I gotta say, I started digging into the source material, and honestly, it clicked. This framework helps you pinpoint those sneaky mental and emotional blocks,
Yeah.
ones that might be holding you back, not just from wealth, but honestly from a whole lot more.
Absolutely. And, at the end of the day, it's about understanding cause and effect.
Okay.
The relationships that shape our reality, including our financial reality.
Okay, so let's jump right in.
Okay.
The first link is ignorance.
Or avijja.
Avijja in Pali, the language of ancient Buddhist texts.
Yes.
Now, this isn't about being stupid, but rather about not seeing things clearly,
Right.
especially when it comes to wealth. What kind of misconceptions do people often have?
Well, I think some of the common ones are believing that money is the root of all evil,
Okay.
that rich people are inherently unhappy,
Yeah.
or that wealth is, somehow out of reach for ordinary people like themselves.
Right.
So these beliefs, are often formed unconsciously
Right.
through upbringing or societal conditioning, and they can act as invisible barriers to abundance.
It's like trying to run a marathon with your shoelaces tied together.
Exactly.
You wouldn't even get off to a good start.
You wouldn't even get to the starting line.
Yeah.
And so it's crucial to really examine, there's deeply ingrained beliefs.
Right.
And see if they align with your aspirations.
So let's say you catch yourself thinking, I'll never be rich, or money is hard to come by.
Right.
That's a sign to pause and ask, is this really true? Or is this just an old story I've been telling myself?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's a great starting point.
Okay.
Now, closely tied to avijja is the second link, mental formations, or sankhara.
Sankara.
And these are, the habitual thought patterns
Okay.
and emotional reactions that just spring from our ignorance.
Ah, so it's like those default settings on your phone
Yes.
that you never bothered to change,
Uh-huh.
even though they're not really serving you anymore.
I like that analogy.
Right.
It really is about recognizing those ingrained patterns.
Okay.
Like fear of failure,
Yeah.
a scarcity mindset, or
Right.
even procrastination.
Okay, so someone might say, I'm just not good with money,
Yes.
and accept that as fact rather than questioning where that belief came from and whether it's actually true.
That's right.
Right.
And then these negative mental formations often become self-fulfilling prophecies.
Right. So the first two links are all about identifying the mental baggage that might be holding us back.
That's right.
But how do we actually start shifting those patterns?
Well, that's where the third link comes in, consciousness,
Okay.
or vina.
No.
And it's about awareness, being mindful of where your attention goes
Right.
and how you direct your mental energy.
So if I'm constantly scrolling through social media, comparing myself to others, or worrying about things I can't control,
Right.
that's not exactly setting myself up for success.
Not quite.
Right.
It's like trying to build a house while constantly getting distracted by squirrels.
Oh, yeah. I can relate to that for sure.
Yeah.
So how do we cultivate a more focused awareness
Yeah.
that actually supports our goals?
Well, it starts with noticing those distractions
Okay.
and making a conscious choice to redirect your attention.
Okay.
Visualize your success, plan your strategies,
Right.
and take deliberate action toward your financial goals.
All right. So we've got awareness.
Yes.
But then what? How do we actually start changing those ingrained patterns?
Well, that brings us to the fourth link, name and form, or namarupa.
Namarupa.
And it's about understanding how our self-identity, both mental and physical, shapes our reality.
Okay, so if I see myself as someone who's bad with money or not meant to be wealthy, that's going to show up in my actions.
Absolutely.
Right.
Your self-concept can either support or sabotage your journey.
So if someone's clinging to a not wealthy identity, it's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole.
Precisely.
It just doesn't work.
Yeah. It's crucial to align your self-identity with your aspirations.
So that means consciously choosing to see yourself as someone who is capable of creating wealth and abundance.
Exactly.
I've
It's
heard-
about recognizing your potential and stepping into that identity.
All right, so we've addressed our beliefs, our mental patterns, and our self-identity. What's next on this path to unlocking a billionaire mindset?
The fifth link is all about our senses, six sense spaces or salayatana.
Salayatana.
And this includes everything we see, hear, smell, taste, touch, and even think.
So it's not just about what's going on in our heads, but also about the environment we create for ourselves.
Exactly.
Okay.
If you're constantly exposed to messages of scarcity,
Yeah.
lack, or financial struggle, it's going to be much harder to maintain a positive, wealth-attracting mentality.
It's like trying to grow a beautiful garden in the middle of a junkyard.
That's a great analogy. You know, think about what you're feeding your mind.
Right.
Are you surrounding yourself with visual reminders of abundance?
Okay.
Are you seeking out inspiring stories of successful entrepreneurs?
Okay, so it's about curating your environment to support your vision,
Exactly.
like surrounding yourself with books on finance or hanging out with people who are already living the kind of life you aspire to.
That's right. And remember, this includes the digital environment too.
Right.
Be mindful of what you're consuming online and make sure it's aligned with your goals.
Okay, so we've got our internal world sort of sorted out, our external environment's optimized. What's the next piece of the puzzle?
The sixth link, contact or fossa.
Fossa.
It's all about how our senses connect with the external world and shape our experiences.
So it's not just about what we experience, but also how we interpret those experiences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Two people can face the same challenge, but their interpretation will determine whether they see it as a setback or an opportunity for growth.
So let's say an entrepreneur launches a product and it totally flops.
Right.
Someone with a fixed mindset might see that as proof they're not cut out for business. But someone with a billionaire mindset, they might see it as valuable market research,
Exactly.
a chance to pivot and improve.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing every experience, even the negative ones.
Yeah.
They can be valuable teachers.
Okay, so we're getting better at interpreting our experiences.
Yeah.
But let's be real. This journey to wealth creation, it can be a pretty emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
So that's where the seventh link comes
You
in.
got it. Feeling or Vedana.
Vedana.
It's all about the emotional responses that arise from our contact with the world.
So we're talking about the excitement of landing a big deal.
Yes.
The frustration of a setback. The fear of taking a risk. It's all part of the game.
Absolutely. The key is to learn how to navigate these emotions
Right.
without letting them derail you.
Uh-huh.
It's about acknowledging them, allowing yourself to feel them, but not getting swept away by them.
So it's not about suppressing our emotions
Yeah.
or pretending they don't exist,
Right.
but about finding a healthy way to process them.
Exactly. Mindfulness techniques, journaling,
Right.
talking to a mentor. These can all be valuable tools for managing the emotional ups and downs of this entrepreneurial journey.
Okay, feeling those emotions is one thing, but what about when they start to drive our actions in unhealthy ways?
Yeah.
That's where craving comes in.
You nailed it. The eighth link is craving or tanha.
Tana.
And that's, that desire for something we don't have, which can often lead to suffering if we let it control us.
We live in a culture of instant gratification.
We do.
So it's easy to fall into that trap of wanting everything right now,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to wealth. But is that really serving us in the long run?
That's a great question to ask yourself. Tana can manifest as a desire for quick riches, an aversion to hard work,
Right.
or even an attachment to comfort and safety that prevents you from taking necessary risks.
It's like wanting to climb Mount Everest, but refusing to do any training.
Right.
Building a billion-dollar empire requires patience, sustained effort,
Yes.
a willingness to play the long game.
Absolutely. It's about understanding that true wealth is built on a solid foundation of knowledge, skills, and consistent action.
Yeah.
Not shortcuts or get-rich-quick schemes.
Okay, so craving is about those initial desires. But what happens when we get really attached to them?
That brings us to the ninth link, clinging or upadana.
Upadana.
And this is where craving intensifies,
Oh,
and it
yeah.
turns into a grasping,
Yeah.
a desperate need to hold on to something, even if it's no longer serving us.
So someone might be clinging to a job they hate because it provides a sense of security,
Right.
even though it's sucking the life out of them. Or they might be clinging to an outdated belief about money that's keeping them trapped in a scarcity mindset.
Exactly. And often what we're clinging to is a sense of identity,
Right.
a story we tell ourselves about who we are and what we're capable of.
It's like holding onto a life raft even though you've already reached the shore.
Right.
It's time to let go and step into a new, more expansive reality.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing those attachments and having the courage to release them, even if it feels uncomfortable at first.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all these links build upon each other.
Yes,
But how do we actually start moving from clinging to creating?
that's where the 10th link comes in. Becoming, or bhava.
Baba.
And this is where we start aligning our thoughts and actions with the reality we want to create.
So it's about moving from a state of wanting to a state of becoming.
Yes.
Right. It's about embodying the qualities and taking the actions of the person we aspire to be.
Precisely.
Okay.
It's about setting clear intentions, making conscious choices, and consistently moving in the direction of your goals.
Think of it like setting sail on a ship.
Yeah.
You need to chart a course, raise the anchor, and adjust your sails along the way.
And sometimes you'll encounter storms or rough seas.
Right.
But the key is to stay focused on your destination and keep moving forward.
All right, so we're setting our course, we're taking action. But what happens when we finally start to see those efforts materialize? That's where birth comes in.
You got it. The 11th link. Birth, or Lati.
Jati.
And it represents the manifestation of our intentions and actions.
Okay.
You know, it's that moment when the seed we've planted starts to sprout, when the vision we've been holding finally starts to take shape.
It's like witnessing a butterfly emerge from its cocoon.
Exactly.
After all that time in darkness and transformation, something beautiful and powerful is born.
Yes, and in the context of wealth creation.
Yeah.
It could be landing that dream client, closing that big deal, or seeing your business finally take off.
It's that moment when you realize, wow, I'm actually doing this.
Absolutely. It's a moment to celebrate, but also to remember that the journey continues.
Which brings us to the final link.
Yes.
Right. The one that might seem a bit counterintuitive when talking about wealth creation.
Yeah, you're talking about aging and death, or Jara Marana.
Jamarana.
This link might seem like a downer, but it's actually a powerful reminder of the impermanence of all things.
So even when we achieve success, it's not going to last forever in its current form.
Right.
Right. Things are constantly changing, evolving, and sometimes ending.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this applies to wealth as well. You
Yeah.
know, businesses fail, markets crash, and even the most successful entrepreneurs face setbacks and challenges.
Like the saying, the only constant is change.
Yes.
So how do we embrace this concept of impermanence without getting discouraged?
It's about recognizing that change is inevitable and adapting accordingly. It's about learning from our experiences, iterating our strategies, and continuously evolving.
So instead of fearing failure or clinging to past successes, we need to be willing to let go, learn, and grow.
Exactly.
Okay.
And remember, even death, in the Buddhist context, is not an end, but a transition to a new beginning.
Right.
It's about embracing the cyclical nature of life and seeing every ending as an opportunity for renewal.
Wow, that's a pretty powerful way to frame things.
Yeah.
So we've gone through all 12 links, but how do we actually start putting this wisdom into practice?
Well, that's what we'll explore in the next part of our deep dives.
Okay.
We'll look at practical strategies for applying these principles to your own life
Right.
and unlocking your full potential for abundance.
All right, so stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive coming up next.
Yeah, we'll see you there. Welcome back to the deep dive. So we've spent the first part of this episode exploring the 12 links of dependent origination.
It's been quite a journey already.
It has.
We've identified some potential mental and emotional blocks that might be holding us back.
Right.
But now let's get practical. How can we actually use this ancient wisdom to create real change in our lives?
Well, you know, it's all about taking those insights, right?
Yeah.
And transforming them into action.
Right.
Remember, this framework isn't just about intellectual understanding, but about practical application.
So where do we even begin? It can feel a bit overwhelming when you think about tackling all 12 links at once.
Yeah, you know, one powerful practice is to cultivate awareness at each link.
Okay.
Remember those questions we posed for each link in the first part?
Yeah.
Those are excellent starting points for examining your own beliefs, habits, and emotional patterns.
Like doing a deep clean of your mental closet.
Exactly.
Like getting rid of the clutter
Yeah.
and making space for new, empowering beliefs and habits.
Once you've identified those sneaky saboteurs,
Right.
the next step is what we call reprogramming with intention. It's about consciously replacing those old, limiting mental formations with beliefs that support your vision of abundance.
So instead of running those outdated programs that keep telling you, I can't or I'm not good enough, you start installing new beliefs like, I am worthy of wealth, Or abundance flows to me effortlessly as I take aligned action.
Yeah, those affirmations might sound a little cheesy at first,
Yeah,
but trust me, they can have a powerful impact on your subconscious mind.
right.
It's like planting seeds of abundance
Okay.
and the fertile ground of your consciousness.
And just like any seed, it needs consistent nurturing and care to grow into a mighty oak tree of wealth.
Absolutely, and that's where the third step comes in.
Okay.
Taking action from alignment.
Yeah.
It's not enough to simply change your thoughts and beliefs. You have to embody them through your actions.
This is where the rubber meets the road, folks. It's time to walk the talk, to step out of your comfort zone and take those bold, aligned actions that will propel you toward your goals.
And remember, action doesn't have to be massive or overwhelming. Okay.
Start small, build momentum, and celebrate each win along the way.
Okay, I'm loving this approach. Awareness, reprogramming, action. But can we break it down even further with some concrete examples?
Absolutely. Let's revisit those 12 links and see how we can apply these 3 steps to each one.
Sounds great. Let's start with ignorance, or avijja. Remember, this is about uncovering those hidden beliefs about wealth that might be holding you back.
Suppose you grew up hearing things like, money doesn't grow on trees, or rich people are all greedy. These messages, even if well-intentioned,
Right.
they can create subconscious blocks
Okay.
that prevent you from seeing wealth as something positive and attainable.
It's like those old wives' tales that get passed down through generations.
Right.
Sometimes you have to question where they came from and whether they're actually true.
Exactly. So the first step is to become aware of those beliefs.
Okay.
Ask yourself, where did these beliefs come from? Are they really serving me? Are they even true?
And once you've brought those limiting beliefs to the surface,
You can start to challenge and reframe them. Instead of money doesn't grow on trees, how about money flows to me abundantly as I create value for others?
that's a great example.
Right.
And instead of rich people are all greedy, how about many wealthy people use their resources to make a positive impact on the world?
I love those reframes.
Yeah.
It's amazing how a simple shift in perspective can open up a whole new world of possibilities.
Now, let's move on to mental formations, or sankhara.
Okay.
Remember, these are those habitual thought patterns and emotional tendencies that can sabotage our effort.
Let's say you're struggling with a fear of failure.
Okay.
Every time you think about taking a risk, your mind floods with negative thoughts.
Yeah.
Like, what if I fail? What if I lose everything? What if I'm not good enough?
It's like that annoying inner critic that just won't shut up.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Those thoughts are just thoughts.
Right.
They're not facts.
Right.
They're simply mental constructs based on past experiences, fears, and limiting beliefs.
So instead of letting those negative thoughts run the show,
Right.
we need to learn how to observe them without judgment. Acknowledge their presence, but don't give them power over our actions.
Right. It's like watching clouds drift by in the sky.
Okay.
You can observe them, appreciate their beauty, but you don't have to chase after them or let them control your mood.
Great analogy. Okay, let's talk about consciousness or vina.
Yeah.
This is all about directing your attention toward your goals and aligning your thoughts, actions, and emotions with your vision of abundance.
Think of it like training a mental spotlight
Okay?
to focus on the things that will move you closer to what you want to achieve.
Okay.
Instead of wasting precious energy on worries, distractions, and negativity, choose to focus on opportunities, solutions, and abundance.
It's like setting a filter on your social media feed to only show you content that inspires, motivates, and educates you. Surround yourself with people who support your vision, read books that expand your knowledge, and engage in activities that fuel your passion and purpose.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to name and form, or namarupa. This is where things get really interesting because it involves shifting your self-identity to align with your aspirations.
Remember, if you're clinging to a self-concept that conflicts with your goals, it's like trying to drive a car with the parking brake on.
Right.
You might make some progress, but you'll never reach your full speed or potential.
So start by consciously choosing an identity that supports your vision.
Okay.
Instead of identifying as someone who struggles with money, start seeing yourself as a savvy investor, a successful entrepreneur, or a generous philanthropist.
It's about embodying the qualities and characteristics of the person you want to become. Dress the part, talk the talk, and most importantly, believe it with every fiber of your being.
And don't be afraid to experiment and play with different aspects of your identity. Try on new roles, explore new hobbies, and step outside of your comfort zone to discover hidden talents and passions.
Okay, I'm feeling empowered already. Let's talk about sixth sense bases, or salatana. Remember, this link highlights the power of sensory input in shaping our mindset.
It's crucial to be mindful of the information you consume,
Right.
the people you surround yourself with, and the environments you spend time in.
It's like creating a nurturing environment for your dreams to flourish.
Right.
Instead of exposing yourself to negativity and scarcity, you're surrounding yourself with beauty, abundance, and reminders of your goals.
Exactly. Curate your social media feeds to show you content that inspires and uplifts you. Seek out mentors and role models who embody the qualities you admire, and create a physical space that reflects your vision.
Now, let's move on to contact or fossa.
Mhm.
Remember, this is all about how we interpret our experiences.
The same event can be perceived as a setback or an opportunity depending on our mindset.
Right.
A billionaire in the making
Yeah.
views challenges as valuable learning experiences, stepping stones on the path to greater success.
It's like that famous Thomas Edison quote, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work."
Exactly. So the next time you encounter a setback, ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? How can I use this to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient?
Reframe those so-called failures as feedback.
Yeah.
Adjust your approach and keep moving forward.
Now let's talk about feeling or Vedana. Remember, this link reminds us that the journey to wealth creation is an emotional roller coaster.
You'll experience moments of excitement, hope, fear, doubt, and even despair. The key is to learn how to ride those waves without letting them capsize your ship.
Practice observing your emotions without judgment.
Right.
Acknowledge them, allow them to flow through you, but don't let them control your actions or dictate your destiny.
It's like being a surfer.
Yes,
You learn to ride the waves, but you don't let them drown you.
that's a great analogy. Now let's move on to craving or Tana. This link highlights the importance of patience and delayed gratification.
We live in a world obsessed with instant results, so it's easy to fall into the trap of wanting everything right now, especially when it comes to wealth. But is that really the best approach?
That's a great question. Remember, building true, lasting wealth often requires playing the long game.
Right.
It's like planting a seed and expecting it to grow into a mighty oak tree overnight. It takes time, consistent effort, and a willingness to nurture that seed along the way.
So be wary of get-rich-quick schemes and focus on building a solid foundation for your financial future.
Exactly. Invest in your education, develop valuable skills, and surround yourself with people who support your vision.
Okay, I'm getting the message. Patience and perseverance are key. Now, what about clinging or upadana? This link reminds us to let go of those things that are no longer serving us.
It could be a job that's draining your energy,
Right.
a limiting belief that's holding you back, or even a fear of failure that's preventing you from taking risks.
Think of it as decluttering your mental and emotional closet.
Yeah.
Get rid of those outdated clothes that no longer fit, those shoes that pinch your feet, and those accessories that weigh you down.
Make space for new experiences, new beliefs, and new opportunities to enter your life.
Now, let's move on to becoming or bhava. This is all about aligning your actions and thoughts with your vision.
It's about making choices that support your goals, cultivating habits that empower you, and surrounding yourself with people who inspire you.
Think of it as setting your internal GPS to destination, success. Every decision you make, every action you take should be moving you closer to that destination.
And don't be afraid to adjust your course along the way. Life is a journey, not a destination.
I'm loving this metaphor. It's all about the journey, not just the end goal. Now let's move on to birth or jati. This link is all about embracing your evolving identity as you progress towards your goals.
It's about stepping into your power, owning your worth, and believing in your ability to achieve great things.
Remember, you are capable of far more than you realize. Don't let limiting beliefs or past experiences hold you back from achieving your full potential.
And finally, let's talk about aging and death, or Jara Marana.
Go.
This link reminds us of the impermanence of all things.
Even the most successful people experience setbacks, challenges, and unexpected changes. The key is to remain adaptable, resilient, and open to new possibilities.
Embrace the ebb and flow of life, learn from your mistakes, and never stop growing.
So it's not about trying to control everything or clinging to the past, but about being open to the constant evolution of life and adapting accordingly.
Exactly. The journey to wealth creation is not a straight line.
Right.
It's a winding path filled with twists, turns, and unexpected detours.
Right.
But by applying the wisdom of the 12 links, you can navigate those challenges with grace, resilience, and a mindset that embraces both abundance and change.
This has been such an insightful exploration so far, but I'm curious, what does a truly liberated billionaire look like? Is it all about yachts and private jets, or is there something deeper at play?
That's a great question, and one we'll delve into in the final part of our deep dive.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've been on this incredible journey exploring the 12 links of dependent origination and how this Buddhist framework can be applied to wealth creation.
It really is fascinating to see
It is.
how these ancient principles are so relevant
Yeah,
to our modern lives, especially when it comes to understanding the mindset for success.
absolutely. But I'm curious, we've talked about unlocking a billionaire mindset, but what does a truly liberated billionaire actually look like? Is it all about private jets and sprawling mansions, or is there something more to it?
That's a great question, and it's one that goes to the heart of what true wealth really means. A liberated billionaire understands that wealth is a tool.
Right.
It's not the end goal.
Okay.
It's about what you do with those resources that truly matters.
So it's not about hoarding wealth or flaunting it, but about using it to make a positive impact on the world.
Precisely. They see the interconnectedness of all things, and they recognize that their own well-being is inextricably linked to the well-being of others.
So it's about moving beyond a purely individualistic mindset
Right.
and embracing a more holistic perspective.
Exactly. They're not driven by ego or the need to prove their worth. They've kind of transcended those limitations and operate from a place of abundance and generosity.
So they're not just financially wealthy, but also rich in spirit and purpose.
Absolutely. They've mastered the art of living a fulfilling life,
Okay.
both materially and spiritually. They found that sweet spot where their wealth is aligned with their values and contributes to a greater good.
That's inspiring. But let's be real. For those of us who are still on this journey, it can feel pretty daunting. What advice would you give to someone who wants to cultivate this kind of liberated billionaire mindset?
I would say start with the basics. Cultivate awareness
Okay.
of your thoughts, beliefs, actions,
Right.
and identify the areas where you might be holding yourself back.
So it's like doing a mental inventory, right?
Yes.
Seeing what's serving us and what needs to be tossed out.
Exactly. Once you have that clarity,
Yeah.
start making small intentional changes.
Okay.
Replace those limiting beliefs with empowering ones.
Right.
Surround yourself with people who inspire and support you.
And remember, it's not about perfection, but about progress.
That's right.
Right. Celebrate those small wins and keep moving forward, even if it's one step at a time.
That's right. And don't underestimate the power of giving back.
Okay.
Find a cause you're passionate about and contribute your time, your energy, or your resources. It's a beautiful way to align your wealth with your values
Right.
and create a ripple effect of positive change.
It's a great point. It's not just about how much money you make, but how you use that money to make a difference.
Yeah.
So we've explored these 12 links and how they can guide us toward not just financial abundance,
Right.
but also a more liberated way of being.
It's been an incredible journey. And remember, true wealth lies not just in your bank account,
Right.
but in your heart, your mind, and your impact on the world.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. We hope you enjoyed exploring this fascinating topic with us, and we encourage you to keep diving deep and keep reaching for those stars.